everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Jamie and I have got 3 super fun DIYs that I just can't wait to share with you. So if you're interested, stick around. To get started on our first DIY, I just took these 2 clay pots that I had gotten from Dollar Tree and some Waverly chalk paint in white, and I gave both of these 1 coat. Now you want to start your project with a white base coat. That way when you go ahead to do your nail polish marble color, it will make the colors really show through. Okay, so the next step, you want to get a bowl of hot water. Doesn't need to be boiling water, but you don't want it cold either. I chose 2 nice nail colors. You can choose 1, 2, or 3 colors. It doesn't matter, whatever you want. Just pour it in the hot water ever so slowly, because if you do it too fast, the nail color seems to sink to the bottom. So you just pour this nice and slow, and then you just kind of move it around in the water. And I thought these 2 colors looked really, really pretty. You can avoid this step here with the toothpick. I mean, it started to work for a second there, and then all of a sudden I went to move it in with the blue and the pink, and the whole thing just shifted on me. So just skip that step. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is just go ahead and take your clay pot and just dip it into the nail color. And then when you go to pull it out, just set it to the side to dry. And you want to remember, for each project that you put into the water, you want to add more nail color. That way you get the most out of your project. For our second DIY, I picked up this fresh flower market sign over at Dollar General, and it just so happened to be $1. So I just took the ribbon off of it, and then I had these 2 Easter signs left over, super cute as they are, but I had a better plan with these, so I just ripped the little cottontail off of that, saved that for another project, and cut the tags off of that. And so then I'm just going to go in with these 3 popsicle sticks, and I'm going to hot glue these to what would be the front for the Easter sign is actually going to be our back, and I'm adding these for extra support. Alright, once it's safe and secure, I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to go in with the Waverly chalk paint in white, and I do 2 coats on these boards. Next, I'm taking the Waverly chalk paint in celery. I seem to really like this color now. I can see why a lot of DIYers like to use it. And then I had taken these planters. I think they came in like a pack of 4 or 6. I'm not really sure, over at the Dollar Tree. They're pretty flimsy, but they were perfect for this project. So anyway, I used the celery chalk paint, and I initially painted this planter. I spray painted it black. Thought I was going to use that, but then I remembered that I had this chalk paint and thought this would be a brighter, fresher look, especially for spring going into summer and everything. So anyway, I go in with the wrong size paintbrush. It was the only size I could find at the time, and I did 2 coats of paint on this planter. So this is what it looks like after 2 coats. I did do a little bit of the inside of it, and then I did like 1 coat of the chalk paint on the bottom. Wasn't really necessary, but you know, I figured why not. So the next thing I'm going to do is take my Fresh Flower Market sign, and I'm going to center it, and I'm going to use some hot glue and press it down. Next, I'm going in with my Sharpie paint marker, and I'm just going around the scalloped edges on both sides for some added detail. Next, I'm going in with my scissors, and I'm going to cut along those dotted lines right there, and I'm going to cut this planter in half. And this planter is pretty flimsy and very easy to cut. And the next thing I'm doing is just taking a bit of hot glue, or just placing these where I think they should go, and then I'm just going to take a bit of hot glue on both of these and press them down. I thought these planters needed a little farmhouse touch, so I just took my jute twine, also from Dollar Tree, and I just measured out 3 cuts, and I hot glued them to each flower pot. And the third and final step was to add these flowers I had just picked up. These are zinnias from Dollar Tree, and I just cut the tags off of them. I didn't bother going in with my wire cutters and clipping them or anything like that. I just went ahead and bent the whole thing and just put it in the planter as is, and it worked perfectly, which was awesome because I didn't even have any floral film. For our third and final DIY, I would just take a bunch of these clothespins, wooden clothespins. I put them in a bowl, brewed some coffee, filled it most of the way until they were all sinking. Save some coffee for yourself, and go ahead and have a cup of coffee while you let that soak for about 10 minutes. When that 10 minutes is up, I just took a pair of tongs, coffee's still hot, and then set them on a paper towel to dry. And lesson learned that even though these are small clothespins, they are still wood and they take forever to dry. So quick side-by-side view of stained and unstained clothespins. You can kind of see what that looks like. Yeah, you can actually do this with tea. As far as I heard, you could do it with tea bags. They may actually work better than coffee. I don't know. I have not tried this yet. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll have to go pick up some tea bags. Anyway, so I just kind of spread them around so they have room to dry, and I did even transfer them over to another towel so they can continue drying, but these didn't ever end up drying until like the next day. Alright, so again, there's another side-by-side view. Moving on to the next step, we're just twisting these and taking the little metal parts off of all the clothespins. You can leave them if you really want to, but I didn't want that added detail in my cross, so just took them off and tossed them to the side. So I waited like hours for these clothespins to dry, and I started working with them when they were only kind of damp, but lesson learned, I found out that hot glue does not stick to damp wood, like at all. As you can see, I am peeling off the hot glue. I actually had to do this several times until I finally gave up and I went in with some super glue, and that kind of saved the day. So then I take some clothespins. I keep trying to say safety pins. Anyway, so I'm just taking 3 of the clothespins and I am super gluing them together. I've got 3 for the top of the cross. As you can see, the 2 that are on the side are only going part of the way up, and they stop right where the notch was for that that metal piece that was holding them together. I've got 3 clothespins for the top, 3 for the left side, 3 for the right side, and we'll continue on for the bottom in just a few minutes. And I do want to add that this is actually a fun project to do, especially on a rainy day, kind of like what was going on outside when I was doing this project. It doesn't actually take as long as I'm saying that it does. I mean, if you do the coffee stain, then yeah, it's going to take forever. But if you choose not to do the coffee stain, you could actually use hot glue and it would probably work just fine. And you can avoid making the same mistake that I made and having to continuously peel the hot glue off the pieces like I'm doing here. And then going back over it with the super glue. So just enjoy yourself, kick on some tunes, and just, make your cross. And just, I found this one off of Pinterest. I'll show you a picture of it here in just a few minutes. And now I'm just getting ready to assemble my pieces. As you can see, I've got the top, the left, and the right. And I'm just positioning the 2 right underneath that top part of the cross. And I'm just going to basically super glue all of these together. So as you can see here, I'm starting to assemble the bottom half of our cross, just putting super glue where it's needed. I even found that there were some pieces that were not sitting right with my other clothespins, and you just kind of have to play around with it until it sits the way you want it to, reinforcing with some extra super glue. And then when I got to that middle piece on the bottom, it was not sitting. There was a lot of space in between, so I ended up having to improvise, which I'm actually kind of a big fan of improvising. Couldn't exactly go off the Pinterest picture I was looking at, so I just had to do with, what worked at the time. So in all, I ended up using 14 clothespins instead of the 15 like I thought I was going to use, just in case y'all were wondering. But yeah, so I ended up not using as many as I thought I needed. Next thing I do is go in with the Waverly Antique wax paint, and I go ahead and distress this with a paintbrush, and you can do as little or as much as you want with this. And if you find that you have gone a little too heavy in some spots, you can take a dry paper towel and just rub the areas where you think you need less of it. So this is a picture on Pinterest that I was going off of, and this is what mine turned out like. So there's a slight variation towards the bottom, but pretty much the same. And I absolutely love this. And this goes perfectly in my living room because I already have a wall of crosses, and I just couldn't be happier with this. I really enjoyed doing this project. I love doing all three of the projects. Y'all, if you enjoyed watching this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit like, subscribe, and y'all have a wonderful, safe, blessed day. Bye.